Living Corporate is brought to you by Doximity. Doximity is committed to fostering an inclusive and diverse work environment where differences are valued, practices are equitable, and employees experience a sense of belonging that allows them to bring their full, authentic selves daily. As medicine's largest network, there's an elevated level of responsibility to everything we do. We don't take that responsibility lightly and are committed to working towards a more equitable world inside and beyond our virtual office walls. So if you want to learn more about Doximity, go to your app store and type in DOXIMITY. Again, that's DOXIMITY.
Hey, hello, and welcome. Welcome to the group chat, Radical Change with Vonda Page. Well, so glad to have you. Let me give you a little intro. First and foremost, I am your host, Vonda Page, and I am the Radical Results Mentor for leaders looking to level up and managers making moves. And what I have done is taken my 30 plus years in corporate America, working in the change leadership space, working in the leadership advice space, working in the technology adoption and organizational change space, and decided to bring at least part of that thought work to conversations around radical change on this program. And so since this is your first time, this is so great. I get to tell you everything about Living Corporate. And as a reminder for those people who have tuned in before, so Living Corporate is a media network that really focuses on amplifying the voices and the experiences of Black and brown professionals in the workplace. Now, it doesn't necessarily have to be, corporate America. It could be, it could be tech, it could be startups, it could be education, but we really focus on amplifying the experiences. And in this show, specifically the group chat, I focus on what are the solutions needed and how do we think about actions necessary to really drive radical change. And so on the group chat, basically I talk about topics top of mind. And right now today, I'm going to talk about LinkedIn. And I am going to talk about, one of the reasons that I started the Dump DEI campaign, which is all around, changing the focus from diversity, equity, inclusion efforts whose efforts have worked for everyone, right, except for Black women in the workplace. And that is because we have a very hardcore, very serious anti-Blackness problem in the Western world. In the world, period, but specifically, I'm in the United States, we're in the Americas. And so when I think about the issues, right, that we face, and I think about how DEI has evolved in an industry, right, over the last 26 years or so, and how I see that there is no progress. And in fact, Black women are paid even less now in comparison to non-Hispanic or white males, right, than before. We were at 63 cents on the dollar, and now we are at 58 cents on the dollar, right? So when we talk about exactly who's defining these words, we talk from the very beginning, right? The very beginning is who gets to decide, right? Who gets to decide, right, is the white men, the same men that made up the Constitution of the United States that I'm holding in my hand right now. And on the front of this copy, I have a pocket copy that I keep with me because, I'm Black. The pocket copy on the front, right? Its only keepers say the people. And that was by George Washington, who he himself, right, said the power under the Constitution will always be in the people. It is entrusted for certain defined purposes for a limited period for representatives of their own choosing. And whenever it is executed contrary to their interests or not agreeable to their wishes, the servants can and undoubtedly be recalled. So this is George Washington, right? Lying to the people, talking about that like we could really change this government when we actually know that the government, the people who set it up, right, are the same people who own slaves and who was selling human beings, right? For profit. Hey, Mikhail, thanks so much for joining. How you doing? We just got rolling. Good to see you. We started having a conversation, right, around this whole, DEI, right? And who is even defining it, right? So from the door, right, when we think about the founding, right, of America, because my perspective, y'all know, is a very heavily, American one, right? Because this is where I grew up. And, when I think about the founding of this country, and in the founding, right, they said it's about men, and they only meant themselves, right? Because at this time, this is in 1789. So, Africans were still enslaved and not considered people. So fast forward to 2022. Fast forward to the Microsoft Corporation, fast forward to Apple, fast forward to Wells Fargo, Bank of America, any of them, right? Why would any of these companies, any of them, be really willing to give Black women, Black people, Indigenous people a seat at their table? Because if they don't look like us, it's all starting wrong. And nobody in those rooms that looks like us are fighting for us, right? So when I think about, how when we just look at over the weekend, right? So I'll just take the LinkedIn situation just as a tiny little example. Now, I don't post anything that I feel is controversial. I don't think I post anything that is too out there. I don't use profanity. I mean, I say the word shit, but I always put an asterisk in it, right? And I don't, I don't think I'm that out there, really, But obviously, I touched the nerve. But the conversation that I want to have today is the nerve of whom I touched. Because I don't believe that I have a lot of hardcore conservatives following me. I only have 58, 5,900. I'm going to have 6,000 probably by tomorrow. But 6,000 people following me. I don't have no Ben Shapiro fans following me. I don't have no Rush Limbaugh fans following me, right? The people that follow me, right, for the most part, are people that I either used to work with at some job I've had in the last 30 years, or they were my clients before or now, or maybe I went to college with them, a few people from high school, but it's basically people I've met in business, right? The other people that I've met and connected with over LinkedIn and via LinkedIn, we met because we have some things in common. Maybe they are, a DEI advocate. Maybe they are a DEI practitioner. Maybe they are a chief people officer, or maybe they have some other role like that, right? And so we cross paths. But anybody who's been following me lately, right? So I've been hovering around 3,000 followers for years, right? And then I got up to 5,000 after I posted about Jane Elliott, and then people started paying more attention. Well, the people who obviously are paying attention are the same people that were following me and the people who are trying to consume my content. Who's trying to consume content about equity, inclusion, diversity, belonging, justice, or whatever, right? It's a bunch of DEI practitioners, number one, right? Professionals. But what do these DEI practitioners and professionals look like that are fighting for their rights, but they're not fighting for Black people to have anything? So when I think about the Asian, Middle Eastern, European, right? All of the non-Black DEI folks out here, those are the people that follow me. Those are the people that's mad that I'm calling out the fact that DEI doesn't work. That DEI, it only works for Asian people, queer people, right? It is not working for Black people. Black people come in Asian body, in queer bodies. Black people come in disabled bodies, right? Black people come in every body that everybody else has, right? Right? And so how is it that the rights and the pay, right, and the equity, right, that that other people have been fighting for has gotten gained, and yet Black women are still at the absolute bottom of the pay equity situation, right? Black women are still at the bottom when it comes to raises and promotions, and Black women are still at the bottom when it comes to uh you know uh um uh in addition to pay, raises and promotions, and titles, right? So every demographic, we're still at the bottom. However, Black women are the most likely, right, to want to advance their degrees, their careers, because we have the most advanced education and the most advanced degrees in the workplace, right? And white women are definitely not allies. It's tons of them, right? They are in here to make this money and to do what they're doing and to feel good about what they're doing. It's not about getting the real justice, right? We only need accomplices because our lives depend on it. You 100. You're 100, Jamie. 100. And everybody who has that proximity to whiteness, right? They get to say, well, at least I'm not Black. And they use that proximity to whiteness, right, to their advantage and to continue to shit on Black people. Plain and simple. And so I think that one of the reasons, not I think, I know one of the reasons that I'm being blocked on LinkedIn and reported is because I'm calling it out. Because people, they know that we know. And see, I'm not the one. I'm from Philly, first and foremost. Secondly, I don't play those games, right? I don't work for anyone. So I can say whatever I want. So people can keep on reporting my pages and reporting my posts all they want. It doesn't matter. They're not going to be able to shut me up. I'm going to literally be on Amazon Fire Stick, y'all. I'm going to be on Roku, y'all. Okay. And my YouTube is going to have 5 shows and 5 podcasts. They're not going to shut me up. No one can shut me up. Okay. I know, y'all know, we know that nobody gives a crap about Black people except for what they can use Black people to exploit us. Period. And LinkedIn, Microsoft is no different than any other app, than any other company, than any other program, than any of it, right? And so what we have to do, right, is focus on the things that are going to keep us alive, the things that are going to keep us surviving and help us to thrive at the same time. So when I think about, my post getting reported or whatever, I'm just like, bring it on. I really do not care. I don't care because at the end of the day, right? I feel like Serena Williams. They don't like you anyway. Nobody likes us anyway. And if we didn't know that, I think if we didn't learn it and didn't know it, we should have learned it and found out when we saw them throwing young African teenage girls off those trains in Poland, right? Trying to escape the war in Ukraine. The world hates Black people. The world hates Africa and anything African. And in America, right? Because Black people are descendants of Africans, they hate us. And they have used anti-Blackness, right, as the weapon to wield the entire world against the diaspora. And I'm here to say, I see y'all, and I'm not having it. I'm here to say, I don't care who likes it. I don't care who reports my posts. You're not going to be able to report my YouTube channel. You're not going to be able to report my Roku TV shows. You're not going to be able to report all of it. And so what needs to be said is going to get said. Now, what can we do? How can we, how can we address or manage or get progress? How can we make something happen? How can we, really get some progress and get some accomplices, real ones? I think what we have to do is we have to call it out. We have to let people know, hey, we see you. we see you, and we're not having it. We have to let people know that we see the game and we understand the game, and that the game, we are not going to just act like we don't see it. And for me, this is what DEI is, y'all. To me, DEI, and we talked about it. Cheryl friend called it distraction, illusion, and something else. But that's what it is, right? It is not working. And what it has done is it has put all of these other, needs of people, of Black people, and indigenous people. It's just put them on a back burner. And I'm not having it, because it is bullshit. Because people can be set themselves up to be like, oh, okay, I'm not Black, right? And so oh, you said it. I thought it was Cheryl. Right. Diversion and illusion. Exactly. Right. And so what we have to do, guys, people, humans, we got to call this thing out. We got to, like Black people say, we got to call a thing, right? We got to call it out, because we know it's lies. Because if it really worked, then how come Black women are making 58 cents, y'all? Why am I making 58 cents? Why are we making 58 cents? And why are we pretending that by using words like white supremacy and racism, like that's really helping? Because that keeps the Asian people, the Middle Eastern people, right? Other non-Black people who don't look Black, that keeps them off the hook. That keeps them off of the hook, right? And so, we have to put the pressure on and make them feel it. Now, obviously, I've done that a little bit, and people mad, so that's why they decide to, keep on blocking my posts. Literally, y'all, all I post about is I'm glad to be Black, and I'm calling out things that I see as bullshit. It's nothing wrong with me doing that, and I'm doing it on a professional platform. I own a damn business, actually, too, right? And that's my business. And so people, right, can have the responses that they want. But what we can do is we can put the pressure on. We can stop, using the word white and trying to put Y's in it and spell it all weird, because we worried about the algorithm. And what we could do is ask those accomplices, to Jamie's point, tell the accomplices, this is what you do. So this is what I did yesterday. So this is why, right, Joseph stays on probation. So I text Jackie Abram and I said, hey, Jackie, give Joseph my number and tell him to text me. Joseph texts me and I told him what was going on, and he stepped into action. That's an accomplice, right? He jumped in and said, hey, right? I got restored, but then it kept on happening over and over all day. And so I could never get in yesterday for more than a few minutes, because every time the profile would get restored, somebody else would report it. But right, Joseph went out there, right? He put his profile on the line, right? And he then tagged a whole bunch of people, right? And got it seen, and they unblocked me. But like I said, it keeps on happening. So now that me and Joseph are texting, right, I can say, oh, they did it again, right? But what else we can do, y'all, is absolutely continue to call out anti-Blackness. Call that mess out, and don't let them fall for it. Don't fall for that okie doke, right? I think he is, y'all. I think he is a real one. I think he is. I'm telling y'all, I think he is, right? And now that don't mean that he don't have learning to do, right? It don't mean he has growth or whatever, but I think he is. And so, right, a real one, which we know, they put something on the line, right, for other people. And that's one of my things. And when I think about, I'm not going to be able to do it, I'm going to have to upload it, but I'm putting together, and we're going to talk about it now, a YouTube that I was going to do at 1:00, but since I don't have internet because of climate, but we'll talk about that in a second. I live in Oregon, y'all know, and we have an internet outage, and so I am using a hotspot. And so when I went to try to it looked like the internet was back. So I tried to use my iMac and to log on to here, and it wouldn't work. So then I had to redo the hotspot over and over because of climate. However, y'all, here's the thing. Those people, right, who are working in the DEI space, right, non-Black people especially, and some Black people, but it's mostly non-Black people, right, working in the DEI space, who have not done their own work to examine and understand and unpack their own anti-Blackness. Because I'm going to tell you, and I had a conversation with an Asian friend of mine yesterday about it. Asian people are very anti-Black, period. I talked to my daughter about it too, and she knows tons of Asian people, goes to school with them, has her entire life, or at least since 6th grade, and they're very anti-Black. And so it's not to say that they hate Black people, right? It's to say that what they were learned, what they were taught, what they learned, how they were socialized is just like everybody else in the world, is that Black people are inferior and everyone else believes that they are better, right? The lies that were told about the continent. I did a great podcast the other night with somebody, and he asked me, he's from Nigeria, and he asked me, what did I learn about Africa growing up? And I said, oh, I learned that Africa was the cradle of civilization. I learned that Africa was the beginning of everything. I learned that Africa was where medicine was created and science and instruments and architecture. So I told him I learned that. But he said most people don't learn that, right? And after doing several LinkedIn polls, after asking questions and using my own research, right, from years of being Black and years of working and years of seeing how it is, right? And asking, most people did not have that. Most people got the American whitewash education. I'm curious, in Europe, what kind of education, right, do they talk about Black people, right? Right? She said she could wait a minute. A white woman told you she could relate to your experience because she's a woman. That is even more crazy. That is super crazy. That's super crazy. So not did she tell you she could relate to your experience? She's a woman, first of all. But see, that is the gall, right, of white people, right? Of anti-Blackness that makes everybody think they know Black people. So they know what's best for Black people. They know, whatever they think they know, right? That is insane. It's insane. So Europe is exactly okay. So Europe is the same as America. So same bullshit education. Okay, right. So then that would make sense, right? In how those same prevailing attitudes and those same prevailing mindsets, what they go transatlantic, right? There is no no barrier, no ocean that keeps anti-Blackness at bay, right? So the Pacific Ocean nor the Atlantic Ocean can keep anti-Blackness back. Which, so what does that mean, right? That means we got a lot of stuff to do, right? So, well, then that's good to know. So if you think about it like that, so then if you're saying white Americans are baby Europeans, then that gives even more context, right, around how think about the epigenetic situation, number one, and think about, right, the unwillingness to step into reality and to be willing to have a conversation to address your own issues, your own, what you got going on. And so if we think about it like that, right, everything America they got from Europe, right? So they picked, so the Europeans brought all their BS over here, right? So they brought all of the colonialistic, imperial, colonizer nonsense, right, over here. And right, since that's supposed to be, like the bastion of education and thought, right? People who got educated in Europe. So a lot of East Asians, right, who get educated in Europe or brought up under British, rule, right? Then it makes sense why they would have those anti-Black attitudes. It would make sense why they would have those anti-Black attitudes, right? So, I wanna, did they have the best to send? Because this is what I think about. We talked about that. Their best is the ones that's telling everybody what to do, right? The best are the ones sitting up in the castles, right? Collecting all the stuff that they sending to pillage and steal everything. So think about it, right? If you were the king, right, and you said, okay, I want to go around the world and get everything, you got to send your dirtiest, you got to send your meanest, you got to send your most disgusting, you got to send the ones that's going in, right, that's going to fight the dirtiest, right? You got to send in the ones that's going to be the nastiest, the meanest. And so that's who we got. And now their descendants, right, are the ones running Microsoft and every other big company. And the people who think that, hey, one day they could be running Microsoft or Tesla or Amazon or any other big company, right? Don't realize that they were themselves conditioned with such a high level of anti-Blackness that, they don't get it. And for the non, Black people, right? So for Middle Eastern people, for Latino people, for Asian people of, the entire big ass continent of Asia, right? What did they learn about Black people in Africa, right? Africa is good enough to steal humans, and steal every last resource naturally, but we're not good enough to run anything. We're not good enough to get paid the same, because they really believe, right, in that system that was set up, right, in the 1600s, right? And I believe that they set it up before that, because Columbus was over here in 1492. So we know they started before that, but I think it was just the records and how well the records were kept. So with that being said, right, we know, right, what has been going on all this time, and we know that, right, the nastiest of the nastiest, exactly, right, the ones who was down to do the horrible stuff, the one who was able to kill 100 million human beings here, right, the ones that was able to throw bodies in the ocean, the ones that was able to decide, okay, are we going to do a loose pack, on this trip, or are we going to do a tight pack? So they sent the dirtiest. They sent the nastiest. They didn't send the refined ones that know, how to eat at a table with 7 forks. They didn't send the people who went to cotillion, right? That's not who they sent to do the dirty work. Those are the Bushes and the Cheney descendants who they chilling, right? Acting friendly. They're not out there marching in Charlottesville, and, they're acting kind and civilized, right? And they hiring Condoleezza Rice and Colin Powell type people, right? And so when we think about what we are dealing with, y'all, the element of what we dealing with, right? The heinous thieves and killers and rapists, that's all we dealing with, right? Their descendants, right? And the few oligarchs, right? That's the 700 that are wearing their, 7,000 Brooks Brothers suits, and they dripping in Chanel and whatever. Those people don't give a crap. They do not give a crap about all of those people that they sent to do their dirty work. But those people that they sent to do the dirty work, the people that weren't their best, right? They in it for the long haul. They in it for the fight. They are in it to win. And now, make no mistake, y'all, that when the previous orange United States president got his compound, examined for all the documents he stole, he is setting up telling people get ready for civil war. So if you think that's not going to extend to LinkedIn and to other social media platforms, it definitely will, because those people are in formation, as we say, right, to take action for what they believe in. And this DEI thing is another freaking masquerade of nonsense. It is. It's Agent Orange, and he is the devil, straight up. You know what? I was thinking about Malcolm X the other day. I think about Malcolm X a lot, his speeches, and I was thinking about, how he talked so much about the devil, and how he gave us such good and clear warning. And I remember, in the 80s, right, when Agent Orange had his TV show, right? And I used to watch it faithfully. The show was called The Apprentice. And I used to watch it every week. Like, we had TV then. You only could watch things when they came on, right? And I remember thinking, he is such a scammer. But people really believe that he is a businessman because he is a showman, just a show person. And when he came down that escalator in 2015 and he said Mexicans are rapists, I said, oh my goodness, right? I said, oh my goodness, right? He is going to become the president. I know he was going to win. I know he was going to win. I know he was, right? And I don't think anybody's offended by calling him that. Hopefully not, that was a long time ago when those chemicals were out. But like, he is the devil, right? And think about, right, we talking about the Europeans that came over here. Think about the depraved stuff that's been happening. Think about the depravity, right? And how anybody who speaks up or tries to fight back, right? What happens? And so we out here talking about how DEI doesn't work. We're out here talking about how companies, they absolutely know for a 100% certainty that they have not made any significant gains. They have not done anything significant when it comes to DEI, if you're talking about Black people or Indigenous people. And all of these BS reports, including the one from LinkedIn, okay, they do not give you any real data. They do not give you any significant data at all, right? What they do is they tell you what you want to hear is, oh, you're making progress. Well, as far as I'm concerned, if I don't see the numbers, you're lying. And I think we know that if we're going to talk about them, right? Right. And who does that? Exactly. How about it, y'all? Right. America. Who does that? So if you think about it, right, the descendants, right, of Europe who are here making and doing all of these horrible things, right? Horrible things. It's a history of it. They didn't just start it. And so I wanted to back to real quick about some of the impacts, right, of this, right? Some of the impact of it from the standpoint of who thinks about hurting people to that level, right? So I talked about it in another, I think I did it in one of my podcasts. So I grew up in Philly. So y'all have to look up the Move bombing, Move, MOVE. Move was a group of Black people, right? That were, talking about freedom and blah, blah, blah. The city of Philadelphia bombed a city block. Yeah, right? They bombed people. It was kids, right? So you talk about the cruelty, you talk about the inhumanity, you talk about the debased, just like don't care. Like there is like not even children are not even protected, right? We know Black children aren't, but children aren't protected. I think all the time about how we had to have, marriage age laws, right? Because gross men want to marry little kids, right? I think about the Bible, and I think about, the Old Testament, and I think about all of the laws and how they rewrote the Bible, right? Those laws was about grown-ups, right? Having relationships with children. It wasn't about anything. It wasn't about two people, because gender wasn't a thing like that, right? So it's just really a lot of historic harm, terror, and traumatization, right, that is embedded, right, in, like you're saying, right, in Europeans, and how that conditioning, though, it extends through all of us. Because when I think about, right, It's not just the Europeans. They brought over, the nastiness, and they brought over the structure and the systems, right? But then everybody now, y'all, who has decided to buy into the system, everybody now who has decided not to fight against it, everybody now who like is like, I don't know if they're complacent or what. I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. But what I want to say, y'all, is that, the bottom line is that we know that DEI, we know that the systems, we know that these corporations, we know that these companies, we know that these people out here, nobody is checking for Black people. We know nobody is coming for us. We know DEI is never going to give Black people equal pay. It's not going to do it, because who is running it? Way back to what Jamie said up in the beginning. Who is running DEI? Who is running these companies? It's the board of directors. Do boards of directors want to give up their power, give up their profit share by extending a seat at the table to somebody that's not one of their friends? They don't, y'all. And so DEI is a scam. It is a joke. It is not real. It has no way to give equity or equality for Black people. DEI is not going to give Black women our 42 cents that they owe us. They're not going to give me my 42 cents, because the people that are working in DEI are anti-Black. Because if that was the case, we would have never needed DEI as an industry. We would have never needed it, because before Asian people got to America en masse to work in the tech industry, Black people were trying to get paid equally. What year was the Equal Employment Opportunity Commission founded? I want to say 1973 or 1974. What was our pay back then? And what was the pay now? Right? What was the reason that the Equal Employment Opportunity Commission was founded? It was founded because Black people were not getting treated equally. It didn't have anything to do with Asian hate crimes. It didn't have anything to do with the Disability Inclusion Act. It didn't have American with Disabilities Act. It didn't have anything to do with that. Black people from the 1500s to now have been the most oppressed and mistreated population in this country. And we were the only people that were enslaved. They have erased the Native Americans and are trying to act like, that didn't happen either. So when we talk about humanity and human rights, and we talk about who benefited the most, white women. White women always benefit the most from everything. And they're the same ones benefiting from DEI as an industry. So once, actually, hopefully I can do it when I'm on the airplane. One of the things I'm going to do is I'm going to remove all of the white DEI people and the other DEI people who are not really doing any work to advocate for Black women in this DEI space, who are not really doing anything significant. I'm deleting them. I'm unfollowing and making sure that they can't follow me, and blocking them from my content, because all they're doing is using Black women, which, that happens all the time. But we got to put a stop to it. So we need to call it out. I was so glad the other day when Dr. Carrie, blockity block, that's right. Dr. Carrie, y'all, she actually had a screenshot of somebody stealing her intellectual property and not giving her credit. And I was like, right on, because we have to call it out. And so I want to, leave it with this, is a couple of things. Number one, right? We know the 3 reasons why DEI doesn't work. It doesn't work for 3 reasons. Number one, DEI doesn't work because of the impact. We know it doesn't work because we, just the 3 of us right here live, right? We can talk about how the impact of DEI, it hasn't been what they said it was going to be, because there's no equity happening, right? So that's why DEI, we can prove we need to dump DEI, because the impact we were promised, the impact, it doesn't work. That's number one. Number two, the individuals in DEI, right? The individuals in DEI, they haven't done their homework. They are anti-Black, period. It's not about racism, because that's why Asian people could say, well, I'm not racist. Well, no, because it's not about racism. It's just you're anti-Black. You just don't like Black people. And I understand it, because we are all conditioned. Black people are conditioned to hate ourselves. We are conditioned to hate ourselves as Black people. So I get it. I understand that, right? But we got to call it out. So the impact of DEI hasn't worked. The individuals in DEI haven't done their homework, right? And I forgot my other one. Dag, I just had it. Is the impact, the individuals, and the intent. The intent was wrong from the door. So the intent was wrong from the door. The impact, we see what it is. Only white women and Asian women benefited, because Asian women now, right? Asian women, y'all, is making 95 cents on the dollar. They're making a 95 cent. And Black women making a 58. They making 95 cents. They up-jumped white women. Nobody gives a damn about the impact. So that's why we got to talk about it, right? So the reason we need to dump DEI is because the intent was wrong, right? The individuals doing it are wrong. And the impact, right, is nothing but negative. And when you harm, exactly. And when you try to hold them accountable, they come back with the bullshit. It's 2 white women on LinkedIn that owe me $1,800. I told them I want my money for the emotional and psychological damage that you did, right? We did a business venture together. They abused me the whole time, and they won't give me my reparations. I asked them for the money over Venmo and what's the other one? PayPal. Of course, I don't expect them to give it to me, but I asked them for it anyway. But my point is that, these people that are working in DEI are not the people. And DEI is not the industry. And right. Exactly. Oh my God, that was so horrible. Right. Screenshots and share and tag and share even more. Exactly. Because we need to hold these people accountable, right? Because what we have to tell people is that is an anti-Black attitude. It's anti-Black, period. So I'm going to be having conversations around anti-Blackness. I am going to be having conversations about unpacking it. You know that I'm running a Dump DEI campaign. I'm going to be doing all kinds of events and things. My book is called Dump DEI. Listen, I can't, Jamie, this is your first time joining, and I'm super happy you're here. Mikkel knows me. I'm not playing. I don't play when it comes to Black people getting killed. I don't play when it comes to our not being able to make money enough to take care of our family. I don't play when it comes to racism, anti-Blackness. I don't play in these streets, right? Hello, didn't come to play with these hoes. That's right. We slay all day up in here. Listen, I'm from Philly. Y'all saw my sign, my shirt I got this weekend. Pro-Black, pro-brown, pro-trans, pro-science, and pro-ho. All the way. Okay? All the way. So that's what we going to do, y'all. We out here. She our people. We out here in these streets. Listen, y'all, don't give up the fight. It is our duty to fight for our freedom. It is our duty to win. It is our duty. Okay? And listen, we don't have nothing to lose but our chains. We didn't have nothing to lose but our chains. Every Black woman that I have ever studied under, listened to, Asada Shakur, Angela Davis, Sonia Sanchez, they know what they're talking about, right? Listen, we can fight, but we can't fight the master using his tools. But what we can do is we can call people out, and we can stand up and say and do the right thing. And hey, call out the coons and the kinfolks that ain't doing the right thing, right? The skinfolk, if they ain't right, call them out. So, hey, thank y'all so much for joining. I appreciate you. Thank you so much for joining. Hey, check out the old episodes. You can jump in anytime. And hey, I will see y'all next week on the group chat. Take it easy, y'all. Appreciate you. Thanks so much.
Living Corporate is brought to you by Textio. Today's top talent is everywhere, representing everyone. And our work environment should reflect the level of inclusion to meet that standard. Textio achieves this in building more equitable company cultures through the language we use in our job postings. That culture is formed one hire at a time, making the words we use to reach more diverse candidates all the more important. Our advanced language insights and employer brand content is what drives our mission of inclusion. Through our industry-leading application of artificial intelligence and machine learning, we're able to widen companies' reach in finding and building upon the very diverse talent that empowers a culture of belonging. Every door should be open to every qualified job seeker. Again, that's Textio.